this video, I'll be introducing you to perquisites and talking entirely about it. It's going to be a long video, so be patient. So, what is perquisites? Perquisites are the facilities provided by your employer. So, for example, in previously we learned about allowances, but allowances is basically what the employer is giving you in cash, and then you are using it. However, in perquisites, he provides you the facility. So there are two kinds of perquisites. One is perquisites which are taxable in all cases irrespective of how much your income is, and the second one is taxable only for specified employee, which we'll be covering later. So which are the perquisites that are taxable in all cases are rent-free accommodation, when you're getting a house at a concessional rate. The third one, any obligation that is met by your employer. So for example, your kid is studying in a school and the fees is paid by your employer. He's not giving you cash to pay the fees, but he's directly paying into the institution. So he's providing you a facility. In that case, it is the obligation of the employee which is being met by the employer. Hence, it is fully taxable in all cases. Fourth, ESOPs. ESOP and SES. ESOP is Employee Stock Option Plan, and SES is Sweat Equity Shares. In these two cases, the employer would have provided shares to the employee, and of course he wouldn't have provided at the market price. He would have provided a price somewhat lower. So if the market price is say 100 rupees and he would have provided it to the employee at 80 rupees, so he is paying 80, but the excess of 20 rupees will be taxable as a perquisite under the head of perquisite. Next is fringe benefits, which I will be covering later, even this is a vast topic. So today in this video we'll be concentrating on rent-free accommodation, since it involves a lot of calculations, as well as prescribed fringe benefits. So the perquisites that are taxable in all cases, the first and most important is rent-free accommodation. There are various categories. So let's come to government employees. In case of government employees, RFA is nothing but license fee as per government rules, which will be provided to you. This information will definitely be provided to you. The next one is if the accommodation is owned by the employer. This is dependent on what is the population of the area. So if the population is more than 25 lakhs of that area, RFA will be considered as 15% of salary. If it is more than 10 lakhs but less than 25 lakhs, then RFA will be 10% of salary. If it is in any other case, that is if it's less than 10 lakhs, it will be 7.5% of salary. Now salary for RFA is basic plus DAF plus allowances. ABC is allowances, bonuses and commission. So in this case, it's not commissionable, but it's all types of commission, and DAF. So all DA is not considered. Say your DA is rupees 100 and 50% of it is entering retirement benefits. So only 50 rupees will be added to the computation of salary, not the entire 100 rupees. However, all other allowances like medical allowance, any other allowances will be added for the computation of salary. You need to keep in mind that PF, that is Provident Fund, and perquisites will not be added for computation of salary for RFA. The next category will come here, that is lease or rent. Like if the accommodation is not owned by the employer, but he is taking it on lease or rent, so the value of RFA will be rent payable or 15% of salary, whichever is lower. And again, the computation of salary is the same as basic plus DAF plus ABC. And furnished FRA. Now, apart from the accommodation, if your employer is providing you facilities like refrigerator or furniture, you need to add, like whatever you're getting RFA under this category, to that you need to add 10% per annum of the original cost of whatever you purchased. Say your furniture had cost your employer 1 lakh. So every year 10% will be added as your income under perquisites to your accommodation, which will be considered as furnished RFA. Or in case he is not owning the furniture, he is not bought it, but he is hiring it, you need to take the actual hire charges which is being incurred by your employer, and you need to add it to your value of RFA to arrive at furnished RFA. So apart from the RFAs which we learned about recently, there is mining site and dual accommodation. So any employee who's working in the mining site and who's getting an accommodation to stay, like the rent, the tented houses which they get, it will be considered as RFA, but it is fully exempt. So it's not taxable. It's fully exempt. Dual accommodation. Now, for some reason, if the employer has been transported, say, from Bangalore to Delhi, so he has two houses for a particular period of time because it takes time to shift, right? So, in case the employer has given him two houses, one in Bangalore and one in Delhi, for his transition to Delhi, so he will be paying RFA, which is lower of the two, for less than 90 days. So, in case that his transition is taking, so he will be getting two rent-free accommodations. Perquisite will be calculated similarly as we did earlier. Whichever is lower will be his taxable perquisite. The other, so in the after 90 days, if his transition is taking more than 90 days, then it is full. Both of them will be taken as perquisites and will be taxable under perquisites. After RFA, the next important perquisite is fringe benefits. Perquisite taxable in all cases is fringe benefits. So there's a list of many fringe benefits, and they're not that hard to understand. It will be provided in the document provided. The main ones are use of movable property. That is, if the employer is giving something to the employee to use, say a mobile phone, and or transfer of movable property. Now this that is ownership plus possession. Now whatever is being provided to the employee need not be used only by the employee. It can also be used by any member of his household. So it's applicable to both. Now the two types are use and transfer. Let's see how it's calculated. Use. If the person is using, say, a mobile phone, it will be 10%. The perquisite will be calculated at 10% per annum of the original cost. Say it was 1 lakh, so 10% of that will be calculated as perquisite every year. Or if whatever facility is being provided is not owned by the employer, it can and he is hiring it, then the actual hire charges will be taken as the value of perquisite. But however, computer or laptops are not included in this category. That is, if computer is provided to the employee to use, that won't be taxable, it will be entirely exempt. It won't be taxable at all. Transfer. Now in case the entire whatever is being used is not only being used but is also being transferred. Say for example, an employee has been using the laptop for say 2 years. So after 2 years he is going to transfer it. So how do you evaluate the perquisite? In case of computers and electronic goods. So in this case, when he was using it, it was not taxable. But when it is being transferred to him, it is. So the value of perquisite will be actual cost. Say he's bought for 1 lakh, 50% depreciation per year. So every year he's reducing it by 50%. Say the original value of the laptop was 1 lakh. So first year depreciation will be 50,000. Second year depreciation will be 20,000. So finally it will be on written down value. It wouldn't be on SLM. So finally the value of the laptop will be 25,000, and that will be valued as your perquisite. The second case is motor car. So in case the calculation remains the same. If earlier he had been using it, he used to pay 10% or actual hire charges. He used to not pay, that was his taxable value. Now it has been transferred. So the value of perquisite will be actual cost minus 20% depreciation for how many ever years it has been used by him on a written down value basis. In case of all other assets, it will be the value of perquisite will be actual cost minus depreciation under SLM. So this one is WDV. This category is again WDV. But other assets which are not specified, that is computer and motor cars, will be SLM. However, electronic items don't include home appliances, they include all other electronic items. So far we've completed perquisites that are taxable in all cases. Now we'll talk about perquisites that are taxable only for specified employees. Now, what are specified employees? An employee is considered a specified employee if he has the status of a director in any company, or if he has shareholding in any company which is greater than 20%, or he has substantial interest. Greater than 20% is substantial interest, or if he is earning an income of more than 50,000. So whatever we'll be talking about from now onwards, if he is falling into this category, it will be taxable for him. For example, if a person is earning 45,000, then he'll come to the previous category, that is perquisites that are taxable in all cases. If he is getting whatever I'm going to talk about, he won't be taxable in whatever I'm going to talk about, he'll be taxable as per the previous, whatever we spoke previously. So the first one is, what are the different types of perquisites? Motor car. This is a little detail which we'll be talking about later. Domestic servants. If the specified employee, that is, if he is falling in this category, and if he is getting a domestic servant as a perquisite, how much ever the employer is incurring minus whatever is recovered by the employer. Say the employer is paying the servant 1,000 rupees per month, but the employee is paying back 500 to the employer. That is, so the employer is recovering half of it. Rupees 500 will be the value of perquisites, which will be taxable. Next is, it's the same as obligation met by the employer. It's the same logic. Next is gas, electricity or water bill, which is being paid by the employer, but it's coming in the name of employee. Again, it's an obligation of that employee which is being taken up by the employer. Hence, it will be whatever is incurred minus whatever is recovered from the employee. Education facility. There are various cases. In case the education facility is provided for the children of the employee, there are two cases actually. The first one is the employer doesn't own the institution in which the child is studying. In that case, he is basically paying the child's fees, which is nothing but obligation of the employer. In that case, it's fully taxable. The second case is the institution is owned by the employer. In such a case, there will be an exemption of 1,000 per month. In the sense, if the fees of the child is 1,000 per month, that perquisite will be fully exempt. However, if the fees of the child is more than 1,000 per month, say it's 1,500 per month, the entire value, that is 1,500 into 12, will be entirely taxable. So, it should be within this limit. Even if it's 1 rupee beyond this limit, the entire perquisite will be taxable. So next we are going to talk about motor car, which comes under taxable for specified employees. So there are certain conditions. Motor car in general sense is always mostly used for both for personal purpose as well as official purpose. However, if it's used entirely for official purpose, it will not be considered as perquisite. It will be considered it won't be considered as perquisite. If it is wholly personal, it will be the perquisite will be under normal calculations which we did previously. However, if it's partly personal, there are certain conditions. If the car is owned by the employer but expenses are also met by the employer, then the value of perquisite will be 1,800 per month if the car is lesser than 1,600 cc. If it is more than 1,600 cc, it will be valued at 2,400 per month. In the second case, the car is owned by the employer, but the expenses are being met by the employee. That is, the petrol or any other expense of the car is being met by the employee. In such a case, if the car is less than 1,600 cc, it will be 600 per month. Perquisite valuation will be 600 per month. If it's more than 1,600 cc, it will be 900 per month. In the third case, if the car is owned by the employee but the expenses are being incurred by the employer, then whatever is being incurred by the employee, the actual expenditure that is being incurred by the employer, say conveyance, the petrol that is being paid for, the actual expenditure incurred will be the value of the perquisite. Now, in case the employer is providing a driver along with whichever case it comes under, you need to add the value of perquisite that has been calculated here. To that, you need to add 900 per month as the value of the driver, the facility provided by the driver. Then month means completed month. Say the employer is using the facility for 1.5 months. The half month won't be considered. Only 1 month will be considered, since the law says month means completed month. The third case, if the employer has been providing the employee with more than one cars for this partly personal purpose and partly official purpose, then only one car will be valued as per these guidelines. In all the other cars, say he has two cars, the second car will be treated as used for wholly personal purpose. So this is the last type of perquisite, that's perquisite that is not taxable. However, there are many limits. The first one is there is only medical benefits under this topic. Now, if the medical facility or benefits are provided in the employer's hospital, it is not taxable. If the employee is taking these medical benefits from government or any approved hospital by the law, then and all the reimbursements made to the employee, or if the employer is making direct payment to the hospital, the government approved hospital, then it will not be taxable. The third one is if the employee is taking medical facilities for any prescribed disease like TB, cancer, which is prescribed by the chief commissioner, then any reimbursement made to the employee or any direct payment made by the employer won't be taxable. The fourth one is any premium on Mediclaim policy that is paid by the employer won't be taxable. It can even be group policy. Treatment outside India, if an employee wishes to get his treatment outside India for which the employer is paying, then to the extent that is permitted by the RBI will not be taxable. Beyond that, any expenses incurred will be taxable. The sixth case is expenses to travel abroad with one attendant. In case the employer again wants to take his treatment abroad, so even his travel expenses, if his travel expenses are less than 2 lakhs, will not be taxable. Thank you. That's the end of perquisites. All the notes will be available in the description.